we have been talking to other community boards to encourage them to start their own sort of youth conference or youth expo. And hopefully if our Youth Leadership Council works out, we'll be, myself and all of our board members, we tend to do it. We just talk to other people on other boards and encourage them to start the same thing. Because the more we engage with our young people, the better they understand how our system works and the better they can engage with it. And I know you all know that because you know how your organizations help them progress in their lives. So I want to encourage you all to find out. If you need help with that, I'm going to find a link where you can actually go and either put in your home address to find out your community board for yourself individually or the address of your organization. How about that? That works for everybody? I didn't mean to put everybody in the spot like that.
I can do that. I can do that, Dwayne. I'll do that.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that, Sean.
Sure.
So let's see. Let's do something a little different because we want to, the young people that are here that are joining for the session. How about we do? I'll call on an organization and you ask another organization you've heard speak here today. Any question about what they do or how you would like to partner with them. How about that? Let's start with Bianca from Blooming. Your choice of organizations. Go right ahead.
Okay, so just choose an organization.
Choose an organization and ask them a question.
Okay, I'm trying to slide through here to see. I guess Caroline. I guess how can we partner as far as our organization missions and what you heard about, what we offer and what you offer? How can we collaborate and do amazing things?
I love it. It's so many of you guys. And hey, girl, Bianca.
Hey.
I think one of the ways that we can definitely collaborate, we usually give our young people that participate some type of gift. And I think Compassion can actually purchase items from the young ladies that have businesses and give that to the young people that participate in our program to be supportive. And the young women that have the organizations that, whether it's providing beauty supplies or whatever it is that they are creating for their business, they can actually speak about it to our young people and encourage them and maybe give them a workshop on the steps on how they actually implemented having an LLC, not just, saying they have a small business, but it's an LLC.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
All right, and we'll move to Ms. Caroline. Any question for another business or another organization?
Absolutely, and I just want to put out there, I noticed Mr. Joseph said that he didn't mean to put us on the spot about our civic engagement, but I think he did. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. But no, thank you for that. I think the organization, there's so many, and some we've already, I would say, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Ifetayo, did I say it right?
It's Ifetayo. Love is enough for joy in the Yoruba Nigerian language.
Thank you.
No problem.
I would love to collaborate and see many of our young people, especially that's in our BRAG program, want to be aspiring music artists. But I love the idea that your organization talks about it being a scholarship as well as being a tool for social justice. And so I would love ways in how we can bring that mindset to our young people that like using the phrase, I'm in the studio,
Yeah, I mean, we all have our personal experiences as well as being both artists and scholars. So we are examples of melding both of those worlds together and that could work and be a tool for social change. So, both of us are directors in the particular aspects of Ifetayo. So, like I mentioned before, I direct the leadership development programs, and Sister Tamara leads the arts education program. So we could definitely drop our emails, we can make it happen. We partner with various organizations at key moments during the year as well. And we love to just be more informed about what's happening in your communities as well. So that could definitely happen.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely do. I'll drop everything in the chat box.
Great.
All right. Secretario, you guys get to ask a question. Tamara.
Good question. Can you come back to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump to Pamela if you're there from TEAL.
I'm here. I actually was sending a message to Miss Caroline, but I'll tell everybody what I was sending because it kind of applies to all. I noticed, she even mentioned the word workshop, and she's got a group of students that she works with. What we do is a lot of education. So I wanted to see if for her group or anybody's group here on the line, if we can educate about ovarian cancer signs, symptoms, and genetic factors to any of your constituents. We'd be happy to do a free workshop for you, for anybody who wants to listen. What we do is set up something that's like a 30-minute Zoom, and we pretty much do everything. And we just need you to get us an audience, and we'll partner with you to spread awareness and education. I will say that, no one really wants to hear about ovarian cancer. It's a hard audience. Who wants to listen to that? But we do a lot of education about where it is tied to breast cancer, it's tied to colon cancer. So we can kind of cover maybe different topics that are of interest to whoever your group is and really come up with something, custom. We also talk about, even our youth ambassador programs if you wanted us to, but we can work together and figure out how we can help spread awareness. I think right now, I bet many of you on the line as well have the same goal to reach people, especially during this pandemic where we're not at health fairs and at events that were all canceled. And we had a lot of, issues with being able to reach people in this last year. And we're just looking to connect with more people. And that's really been a challenge for us. So if we can partner and work together, however, we can help you guys too.
All right, thank you. How about, what did I call it? Simone. A question for any of the other organizations that, based on what they've presented about their groups, their organization, that you might have.
Yeah, I think I was particularly interested in THEO and Ifetayo, but I just see you all, Ifetayo, put your contact info in the chat. So I'm gonna go for a question for THEO. I'm just interested in, and I was a little late to the last session, so maybe I didn't hear the details of what you're doing, but if there's education or STEM education programming that happens with your org, I'm interested in how that, if and what that would be.
All right, I can take that. So we're teens helping each other. We introduce yourself. We're peer-to-peer education. So we mainly focus on sexual and reproductive health information. Specifically, we work in ending the epidemic in HIV prevention and education, educating on HIV and AIDS to limit the spread of sexually transmitted diseases, help teens by training them, and then they would teach back to other peers. So it's a peer-to-peer education. So I'm the project coordinator for one of the projects, and we have Chelsea and Trevina on right now, and they're two of our peer educators. So not STEM-based, but more health, obviously more health focused. But I mean, within that, in addition to that, we also do workshops on healthy relationships, conflict resolution, self-care, especially during this time, during the pandemic. A lot of students were very stressed, kind of teach coping mechanisms as well. In my project, we focus on advocating for LGBTQ youth as well, focusing on those who are considered higher risk for STDs and HIV. So we do a lot of education on the LGBTQ plus community as well.
Oh, thank you.
And just to quickly jump in, there was a question asked in the chat from the team at THEO about will a resource list be shared after the event? We could definitely share a resource list directly to the organizations, but so that everyone is aware, both participants, whether you be an organization or a young person, the website for this event will be up for, perceivably for the next at least year, till next year when we do this again. So you'll always have access to that information, as well as we usually will port everything over to our CB14 main page. So I'm going to make sure to drop that information in the chat so everyone has that. But again, for the organizations here, so that you can network with each other directly, we will definitely share a resource guide. And we'll also more than likely extend an invitation to you all to participate in what we call our nonprofit roundtable, where you have a better opportunity to network in more in depthly. All right. So who didn't get to ask a question yet? Folks from THEO didn't get to ask a question yet, and I'll come back to Tamara. I didn't forget you. Miss Kate.
I guess related, maybe I'll ask a question related to the civic, since maybe it's the area I'm least familiar with. So what's the best way for an organization who's trying to become more civically engaged? What would be the first step for that project, and what would be a good way to encourage their youth to get involved?
Good question. I'm going to take an opportunity here. We're joined by, if he's able to, if not, I'll answer the question. One of our fellow board members, Stephen Cohen, if he's available. Steve, this is Stephen Cohen. Steve is a member of our executive committee, Community Board 14. I'll let Steve answer that question if he's open to it.
Okay, you hear the question one more time?
Absolutely. So what would be the best way to start getting involved civically in your community? And then what would be a good way to motivate young people as well?
Well, I think, in our community, the, attending community board meetings, we have them monthly. So those are good ways to find out, what's going on locally, and hearing from local organizations and what organizations are doing, local electeds, programs that they have going on. Obviously, they're still, I know, social media for youth, you have, varying degrees of availability and, obviously, for at certain ages, parents, restrict certain sites and that sort of thing. But, social media can be a good way to find out what's going on locally with certain group, like Facebook groups, things like that. And yeah, I think finding out from local elected officials, local community organizations, programs that are going on. Hopefully we'll be transitioning back to the non-virtual world pretty soon, although, the virtual world is good too, in terms of, not having to, worry about travel time or having, various events going on, the same night. You can't get from one place to another. So that's been, somewhat good. So we'll see, which things stay virtual and which don't, and how we go from there. But yeah, there's lots of opportunities to for folks to get a sense of what's going on locally in the community, and those would be the places that I'd start.
All right. And then I would like to come back to Tamara.
Yes, Tamara.
Tamara, and forgive me, two of the organizations had to jump off because they had commitments. Ms. Simone from STEM from Dance and Ms. Caroline from Compassion.
Thank you, everyone, because we're heading into one more room. But my question statement is kind of twofold. It was directed to Catherine Barrow and Chelsea as well. Again, we have the Ifetayo Youth Ensemble, and this semester we actually did a podcast, and it was youth-led, youth-directed, and so I really love the idea of the of the peer-led and peer-driven work, and kind of interested in the results. Like, how has it been in terms of the peers, the youth, teaching one another, speaking to one another, and guiding one another. Yes, and just as a reminder, we have our culminating event where you can check out some of the work, some of that very same podcast. That's Thursday, and then it continues the following Thursday as well. But yeah, if you can speak to that, that would be great.
I'll let Chelsea or one of the other peer advocates on the call take that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was gonna say I'll pass it on to Chelsea because she's one of our peers. She can speak to how your question is how connected they are. How do they connect with the peer-to-peer kind of approach?
Experience, yep.
Yeah.
So I can go first, and if anyone else want to add on, they can go ahead. But for me personally, doing it here is very helpful because it's it's different getting that information from a peer than getting it from someone that's older or a teacher. I know for me, when I was in high school, I never really even though we had help classes, we never learned that information so in depth. And even if we had questions, I never felt too comfortable asking a teacher more than asking someone that will come into my school and talk about these things. I would feel more comfortable speaking to them about it and getting like their point of view. So being able to speak to someone that is around my same age about these issues and having them talk to me about HIV, STIs, pregnancy prevention, it made me feel more comfortable only because we're around the same ages. So I know the same questions I have is the same things that they might have also. And they can explain it in a way where I would understand. So for me, when we went through our summer training, having a mentor that was there to help me through every step of the way was very helpful because it's like if I have a question about, for example, anatomy, they were always there to help. Don't get me wrong, I can ask someone older, but it's a little bit different when it's someone my own age.
Thank you so much for that.
I just want to add, so before the pandemic, we also had other really great engaging activities. We were able to do a YouTube show called The Talk, where our own peers, it was kind of like an interview format, but pretty comfortable. And information was shared, and we would share that as well. And that was something that was filmed in our offices. We're very much fortunate to have a really great kind of digital content editor who helps us put together videos and really great, even like Bitmoji videos, helps us with the virtual events we did last year and this year. So we also very much kind of adapted to a virtual setting with other activities as well to keep that engagement going.
Also to sorry, I would like to add on to what Ms. Kate and Chelsea said. So definitely the peer-to-peer interaction is what helps the most. And for me personally, with the process of at the beginning when I joined the program last year, me being taught about sexual health and now having the chance to teach my classes, my class, my whole high school about it is amazing. And it's just a good idea, and the greatness you see on your friends that you were once in their shoes. There was that maybe in junior while you were a senior, you get to see them and them seeing you again, not only teaching, but knowing that you've had a connection since high school. They were more likely to listen to you now than anything else before. There may be experts that can educate us about sexual health and so forth, but there is a difference when it comes to a friend that you knew before, or a classmate, or someone that you went to school with. All that plays a role in shaping young people's mind, in listening and collaborating. And there is more participation when youths become more involved in teaching than anything else. And that is what I love about THEO. And I get to see that every time I facilitate a class.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to take an opportunity to ask, hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Panama Singletary. Could you just introduce yourself to our room?
Top of the afternoon, or whatever other time it is, depending on where the world they're looking at it from, right? Like they could be watching it on the other side of the world and it'd be still lit. My name is Panama, just like the country and or the canal. I'm one of the health educators and the clinic guy here at Project Reach Youth. Yeah. We do a little bit things. We have different groups. We teach young people how to advocate for themselves, as well as communicate to their peers about topics around sexual reproductive health, as well as community things that are going on. So yeah, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. My apologies for my delay and all those other nice jazz. Was having some technical difficulties on the back end, so it's like a little bit of trying to do a little razzle dazzle, as we all know, especially in this last year of trying to do all these things different quarantine style. So yes, thank you all for having me, and yeah, we lit.
And please, Panama, we encourage you to drop the information for your group into the chat. The resources for the event are going to be shared with certainly the panelists, and the website is going to be live for quite a bit. But please, for the peers here who may want to connect with your organization, we ask you to share that information. We still have a few people on, and we are starting our final session of the evening. So I just want to kind of go back through, for those who've been with us for a while, for those of the young people that are joining. We'll start with TEAL and Pamela. If you could just, before we go, reintroduce yourself and your organization, what you do and what opportunities you have coming up, either in the short term or long term. And because we've been pretty good at this, I asked everybody, it's supposed to be 2 minutes, but let's keep it as short and brief so that everybody gets a chance to hear you. But I'm not going to bottleneck everyone on 2 minutes.
Okay, hi everybody. So we are a Brooklyn-based grassroots organization doing programming nationwide. We are a national organization. We have 3 programs: survivor programs for those impacted by ovarian cancer and their families, awareness and education for the general public, because there is no screening test for ovarian cancer, but there are signs and symptoms and genetic factors, and then medical research, which is where some of our funding goes to. So out of those 3 programs, we have many internship opportunities, volunteer programs, youth ambassador programs, so many ways that the youth can get involved in the work that we do and really highlight their skills and build their resumes. So if you're interested at all, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to set up a time to talk and see if there's something that we can put together.
Thank you so much for that. Who is still here from THEO? Or actually, let's jump over to Blooming and Bianca if you want to introduce your organization again.
Hello, everyone. So my organization is called Blooming Collective, and it is a mentorship program for young girls ages 14 to 18. And basically our program is based on helping young girls understand the importance of building and blooming and doing it together. And so what we do is we hold a mentorship program for 7 weeks in the spring to summer. And after that 7 weeks, it turns into a network where they have an opportunity to dive into volunteer programs. They have an opportunity to build their businesses. They also have an opportunity to build sister circles where we enforce them to do things together. We noticed that a lot of young girls, I have a lot of younger sisters as well, who they like to do things on their own. They grow up in the community where it's no new friends, and they adapt this idea that they just have to be independent and do everything on their own. And while life does provide us opportunities to be independent, it's very important for us to understand the importance of community and importance of a support system. And so our collective enforces that for them to grow and do it together and build circles that just bloom.
Thank you so much for that. And do we have anyone from THEO that can represent their organization? What about you, Elizabeth? We haven't heard your voice yet.
Hi, good to be back. All right. Hi all, my name is Elizabeth. I am the health educator here at THEO. THEO stands for Teens Helping Each Other. We are a peer-to-peer education group that focuses on empowering young people, especially when it comes to their sexual and reproductive health. So we work with schools, community centers, churches. We work all over Brooklyn and beyond, all 5 boroughs, to bring relevant information about health. We firmly believe that health is something that you should care about and take care of from a young age. So we focus on pregnancy prevention, HIV prevention, and STI prevention. We are a nonprofit adolescent education program based out of SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. You see so many of us on the line because, like I said, we're peer-to-peer educators. So a lot of the people on the line are our peers that we hire to learn all the information that we know as staff. So even down to the epidemiology of HIV, they learn in an intense summer training program. And then they come into the classrooms with us and help us teach it back so that young people have familiar faces for which to get this information from. So especially since it's information that many people find to be sensitive, or to be awkward, and it doesn't have to be, right? So that's a little bit about us, THEO.
Thank you so much for that. And we were joined earlier by a few other organizations who had to jump off a little early. An organization called STEM for Dance, Ifetayo Cultural and Arts Center. So we encourage you to please check them out, look them up, learn more about them. You know, we only make our community better by engaging with each other and with the organizations. We've got a bit of time here, and I see we're dominated by folks from THEO, and I want to get to you guys, but I see I'm also joined by a few other of my community board colleagues. If they will be open to introducing themselves. We've met Stephen Cohen, Ann Gadet joins us, and Maria Reven Hazelwood is also on this call. And if you could just introduce yourself and tell the folks a little bit about why you decided to get engaged with the community board.
Hi, yeah, it's really exciting to be here. Thank you so much to all of the panelists as well as the students out there. As was mentioned earlier, this event is generally held in person. Last year it was at Brooklyn College, as it has been in the past, or at the YMCA, but somewhere local to the board and to the more local residents, although it's open citywide. The reason that I got involved in the board, on the board itself, is that I think that summer youth programs and opportunities are so vital. This community board, I was fortunate enough to be appointed. This community board does have this particular youth conference, and we'll see what the numbers are after today, but with the possible exception of this year, we've only expanded our outreach, and of course the word grows. I think it was mentioned earlier in this session, I've sort of dipped in and out of different of the meetings, the rooms, that we were pretty much tied to SYEP, which is a great resource for the lottery jobs, but all of the groups mentioned here, and thank you for your participation, also offer either unpaid or paid internship and other leadership community service and development programs. So I think those are really important because the youth today are the leaders of tomorrow, and you do have an awful lot to say. And so being on the board, one of the things that this particular committee under Jonathan and Dwayne, who's the chair of this room, have done is they brought in the youth leadership program. And that is also a peer-to-peer program that's in its infancy, but being brought forward, and there's still room in there for youth to participate. So please do look back into the board website, which is all over this, this page. But that's why I got involved. And I think that it's really important for us to bring our voices, whatever your issues are, but to bring them back to the board and to those people who represent you, so that you can have a better understanding of what that issue is, whether it's organic recycling, whether it's tutoring for literacy, or summer youth camps, or whatever it is. You want to work with a first responder, for example. There are so many different avenues available to you, both as an organization to reach into the community, and for the board, for you as a member of the community board catchment area, within the district, to reach back to the board to see how you could get more involved in different opportunities. So thank you very much, Dwayne. But that's why I got involved, and it's a really informative place to take your questions and to see what's available to you. So I'm excited that you're all here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Anne. And just before I introduce Maria, I've dropped into the chat how you can find out which community board represents you, because I know we're all coming from different parts of the city. So if you want to be civically engaged, please, click on that link and find out what board represents you. Miss Maria, please introduce yourself and why you decided to get involved.
Hi, good evening to everyone. My name is Maria C. Van Hazelwood. I have been living in the community for more than 40 years. I got involved in community board 14 many years ago. My passion has always been dealing with the young people and the elderly. I ran a program for more than 13 years in Parade Playground. I continue to be active even from home. Welcome to everyone, and to you, Wayne and Jonathan, good job.
Thank you so much, Ms. Maria. I want to elevate some voices that we haven't heard from yet. I'm going to call on you, Ray, and tell me how you pronounce your full name.
It's Raisa. Hi everybody, my name is Raisa. I'm a peer leader under the PrEP project at THEO. I've gotten involved with THEO for the simple fact that it's easier to learn about sexual health and learn from a youth, especially when you are a youth, because like Chelsea said before, I don't know if many were here, but she was like that it's when somebody's closer to your age, you feel more comfortable talking to them, and you're able to open up more to them as opposed to if it was like an older person or an adult you're talking to. So yeah.
All right, that was pretty straightforward, to the point. I appreciate you elevating your voice and letting us know your perspective on things. I think part of this youth conference is getting the perspective of the young people. So normally, as my colleagues said in the past, this would be something done in person. Last year, right before the close of the pandemic, we held our youth conference at Brooklyn College, and despite everything going on, we still had over 660 young people show up, and we had over 80 organizations show up, hoping that they would be able to offer some sort of opportunity. This youth conference has grown exponentially over the years, and every year we get more. The year prior to that, I think we saw somewhere over 80 organizations and almost 700 young people show up with their parents, all on different levels, looking for resource, looking for opportunities at internship, whether it be paid, unpaid, or just jobs. And like I believe it was Ann said, we had always coupled this with the summer youth employment program that comes to young people through the Department of Community and Youth Development. But I also want to encourage folks that is not the only workforce development program that DYCD offers, right? So there's the Summer Youth Employment Program, and they have what's called Work, Learn, and Grow, which if you are a young person between the age, I believe it's 15 and 19, that participated in the Summer Youth Employment Program, you can actually apply for Work, Learn, and Grow, which is similar to the Summer Youth Employment Program, only it's the program that runs throughout the school year. So from September to June. And instead of doing 25 hours a week, you do 10 hours a week over the course of, I believe it's 20 weeks. So you get to, you know, work a couple hours after school or maybe on the weekends and get paid for it. So I encourage you guys to look at those programs, tell your peers about them, tell the participants in the organizations that you're representing about them. There's several other programs. There's the Advance and Earn. So if you know of anyone, young person that maybe, you know, took a gap year or is diverted from regular graduation, there's opportunity for them to learn skills and get paid while doing it and get employment afterwards, an internship opportunity. So there are quite a few programs. I encourage you to check out the DYCE site. I'm going to put the link in the chat in a few, but we're essentially coming to the end of the conference. I feel free, for those of you that have been in this room for the entire time, you're welcome to join some of the other rooms and chat with some of the programs or your colleagues if you're a program, to find out more about them and connect with them. But again, the resources will be available, or the resource information will be available after this on the youth conference website as well as the board website. Right? So that is essentially it. Not kicking anybody. They're saying you ain't got to go home, but you don't have to get out of here. Panama, since you joined us a little late, can you, so one of the questions I asked earlier was, how do you see your program impacting young people beyond the summer?
That's a really, really great question. So I think a lot of times for us, I'm gonna be totally transparent and super frank here at Pride. And I guess I would have to attribute this, yes, to the young people, but also to the staff. We like to give what we like to call we like to give the young people game, right? We like to give them the reality of what it is. Like, I understand that everybody has, how should I say, like, we do not give fluff when we're speaking to our young people, right? So a lot of times we're connecting them with real life things that can kind of support them. We have not an event, but we have something that we call Bag Talk, right? Which is basically where we bring other professionals from different industries that they would not normally have access to come and really kind of tell them what it is, right? And not just on some, hey, how did you get here? What is it that you did? And really tell me really what it is. How much money do you actually make, right? What is the skills that you need to actually do it, right? And we've actually had the privilege to have people who want to give back to young people and who want to look at these young people like they would look at their brothers and sisters. You know how some people, they give you information that is, they give you, like, how should I say? They don't give you the full scope of what it is, right? There's always something that they're holding back. And so we were privileged enough to have the proper professionals in space in the place to kind of give them that game, right? And that is something that we just take and we incorporated it within our program as a whole, more particularly since we've had a year that may be one of the greatest impactful years of their lives, right? They're dealing with the reality of what it is in their own way, right? And so we lose them if we're not honest with them, right? And so one of the things that we're mindful of is just keeping it a buck with them, right? Just being really transparent with them, and how we program and being transparent and how we give them information and incorporating them a part of the different things that we're doing. So yeah, just the super transparency, if anything else, and making sure that we steep that all throughout all of the different things that we do.
Okay, thank you for that. And I mean, essentially, we're coming to a close. So I'm going to drop in the chat. I was trying to pull it up before Panama was done with his point for his program. But I'm going to drop into the chat right now the information for DYCD's Workforce Connect program. So I would encourage you all to share this widely. This is the information about the different programs that they offer. Most of these are paid internship opportunities. You can apply for them at different points in the year. So share them with your organizations, as well as share them amongst your peers. And Goodette, you have a hand up.
Yeah, I do. Hi. So can I ask a question of Panama, just as a, oh, by the way, how it may fit in with other members of the group in terms of it sharing skills and tools?
Absolutely.
Is that okay? Hi, Panama. Thank you. So what I was hearing from you a moment ago is something that I've called an information interview, which is something that when my now almost 30-year-old daughter was trying to determine what she wanted to do, she looks to the world around her and then says, how did they get where they are? So that's how I'm interpreting what you just said. So how do you pull your teens and youth forward from, how do you collect the professionals that you have speak with your youth, share their stories, step by step, how they arrived, share whatever other personal professional information or credentialing that they obtained, how that was done, what was their funding involved, scholarships, grants, other. How do you go about that? And has that been actionably helpful to your groups? And is that something that you're still developing? And I'm curious if there are other members, panelists here who would have anything to offer there, either now or in the chat. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. So I think for me, we actually just started it, I want to say this year. It was birthed out of COVID, right? It was something that I can even speak to because it was my brainchild, right? It was also something, in working in this space for such a long period of time, one of the largest things that we talk about when we're talking about inequities is the lack of exposures, right? I don't know about a job that I don't have access to, right? And so what I ended up doing was, and what the team ended up doing was, we realized that we all have our own separate networks of people who want to give back, right, to our young people. And so with that, we attempted to kind of just literally pour out in different fields. We sent out like a Google Doc, right, just for the young people to let us know what are some fields that they're interested in, right, where there's no sky is the limit. Anything that they would have put, we will find that person that will be transparent. That is where we, as then a staff, really use our skill sets of networking and communications and those things to actually, you know, get it done. And then while we're in the space with the young people, those professionals add skills, as well as the young people now have their contact, right? For our seniors, we then they build out their LinkedIn pages, and then now they actually have that person as a person on their LinkedIn. So we'll be able to see, right, in a year or so when we're doing the follow-up of how impactful that it was. The young people, they tell us that is impactful. We generally send out anonymous surveys, right? And one thing that, as I said earlier, we want them to keep it honest with us. You don't hurt my feelings by telling me that this wasn't impactful, or if it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, and in all actuality, if it wasn't helpful, it wasn't helpful. If it was, it was. And the feedback that we have received back was like marks across the board, right? Because I think, once again, I think it's most people want to know, but they don't have the access. So we're bringing the access to them for them to literally ask any question possible. I think when we had somebody come from NASA the last session that we had, right before they shot off their rocket, not the one that fell down, but the one that actually kept going, literally maybe a couple days before, right? And so we allowed them to literally ask her whatever, Let's talk about the aliens. Let's talk about what does it feel to be at the station, right? What was the process? Who did you have to meet with? What were your connections, right? And they were giving those transparent stories that, once again, hopefully it is something that will help them and impact them in the long run. But all in all, we're still trying to figure that part out. I hope I answered your question. I'm hoping I did. But yeah, a lot of it was just word of mouth and just literally us knocking on those doors, me kind of asking a friend of a friend of a friend, yo, who is this person? And then me just asking them like, yo, listen, come talk to my young people, treat them like they yours, and keep it pushing.
All right, thank you for that. I want to, as we're coming to a close, I want to take an opportunity to, thank all of the young folks that are participating as attendees. I hope that, we didn't see a lot of questions directly in the chat, but I hope some of your questions about the organizations got answered. I hope you took down a lot of the resource and are able to connect with these organizations. I also want to thank the young people that participated, all the youth that participated from THEO. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for offering your perspective. The whole point of this is to elevate your voices, give you opportunity to gain access to some of these organizations and some of these opportunities. So I really do want to thank you guys for participating in this today. And I dropped the link in the chat if any of you want to quickly jump into any of the other rooms to check them out, maybe hear from some of the other organizations that you saw on the website, feel free to do so. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has about the board, civic engagement. I don't know anything about music, so that's the downside. I can't talk about anything current. If anybody any of the young people on here want to give me a tip of who I should be listening to right now, like who's really popping out here, I know I might start an argument, so let me not do that. Let me not do that. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys, and I know for many of my fellow board members, this is a big deal for us. It's a highlight for us that participate in this. We all are, either have kids or adjacent to kids, meaning that we don't have kids, but we're aunt, we're uncle, we are a godparent. Myself, I'm a godparent. I don't have any kids, so I get to give all of my young ones back at the end of the day. But it means something to us that you guys took the time to participate. It means something to us that we had over the course of this meeting, we probably had about 20 people come in, check it out. So it means something to us that we're giving something back that's useful to the community. So we really appreciate it. Any last questions from our young people? Any last comment? I'll happily take, I know this is going to end up on the web forever in perpetuity, but any comment, feedback on things that we could do. This is our first virtual event, so I'd love to hear some of your feedback either now or at a follow-up board meeting in the next month or so. Ray, Trevina, Aaron. Anybody have Elizabeth?
The comment I can make about this in general is that I'm really just excited and happy that I got to meet all the different programs and to not just see about the health career, the sexual health programs that teach students about topics, HIV, STD prevention, pregnancy prevention, contraceptives, consent, and so forth, but just how all these programs can collab with each other and work together and make it not just the New York City area better for young people as they arise and be honestly the next generation, but they set the groundwork and honestly, it's like they guide. They be like, you guys need the guidance and we're gonna help you achieve it. And that's what I get from this. And as an aspiring pediatrician, one of the goals I joined THEO for is to know how to better communicate with young people, considering I will have to be doing it for the rest of my life. but I'm happy. It's just a really great experience I have now, especially as a college student, compared to doing all of this later on in life.
That is great to hear. That is actually really great to hear. Anybody else want to share their feedback? You don't have to.
I'll go.
Sure, go ahead, Ray.
I think that this was really great, like having all the different programs and talking about the programs, because then it opens up more opportunities for people to find different places, figure out what they like. I also like that, like Trevina said, it's not only about pregnancy prevention and STDs and HIV, it's also about finding jobs and exposing the community to more opportunities and giving them more access to things. So I really enjoy this, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Anyone else? Aaron, Elizabeth?
Sure. I actually want to kind of point out something that Panama said earlier, right? And when Panama said it, you were referring to those interviews, informational interviews, right? But I think it works well for kind of this program. And that was just that you don't know what you haven't been presented, right? And so for all those people, for all the people here who are like in the audience and stuff like that, you know, I'm grateful to CB14 for giving them the opportunity, because I couldn't imagine how many people have never heard of THEO, have never heard of Prize Safe or Blooming Collective. I haven't heard of Blooming Collective and they sound amazing.
Yeah,
you know, but how would you know? You know, we've got a lot to look at every day, you know. One of the philosophies I teach by, you know, is that you can't ask a question if you don't know what question to ask. And that's kind of the same here. So thank you for giving us the information. So now we know what questions to ask going forward.
Aaron, anything?
I mean, I like this event overall, like, you know, the basis of like learning knowledge about other programs, how we can all benefit from each other, you know, what we can take away, what we can add, you know, as far as our teaching, these Zoom calls, you know, these programs that help, you know, inspire young youth, you know, put money in our pocket, you know, keep us off the streets and educate us. You know, I really feel like it's really appreciative and it works.
That's awesome. So the remaining organizations that are here, Bianca and Dafina from Blooming, you're hearing how the young people are really appreciating your program and the fact that you guys are open to collaborating and open to sharing your information. So thank you so much. Pamela from TEAL, if you're still there, you may have jumped into another room, but you're hearing this as well. I do want to give you guys an opportunity to just invoke some last words. So let me know, Bianca or Dafina, whichever you would like from your program, and Pamela, once they're done, you're free to jump in.
So quickly, thank you for the opportunity to share this platform with such amazing people. One of the things that I love about situations like this is that everybody can't be a hand, everybody can't be a foot, right? We all play our part to make sure that we're making this world a better place, especially with our young people. So this is exciting, and I definitely want to see, you know, how we can collaborate with each other and make things grow, and also getting connected with my community board. That's going to be very important for me. I'm going to get right on top of that so that, you know, the reach could be greater. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Dafina?
Yes, I echo everything Bianca said. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you guys for your interest. I look forward to partnering with a lot of you guys. I look forward to working with a lot of you young adults. Again, thank you again for just opening up the doors and sharing that information too about our community board as well. And overall, I learned a lot from a lot of you guys today. So thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you for taking the time. And Pamela?
Hi, just thank you for having us. Great event. And for all of the youth still listening, I just think it's important to follow your passions and find those connections. And you just never know, you know, something maybe you're doing now could help you or you know, be even more rewarding 20 years from now. It's just great to just, you know, like a lot of people were saying earlier, if you don't know what question to ask and you kind of need to have these things in front of you, it's so true. And sometimes you find that out later. So just, reach out to people here today or others that you know, and don't be afraid to ask questions and follow your heart.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, from the folks from Blooming, from TEAL, Pride, Panama. I'm glad, Panama, that you were able to get the technical stuff fixed, because as you can see, even though you were only able to participate for a short time, you had a big impact. And that's what we're trying to show our young people, is that the smallest thing can have the greatest impact. And I think we're all proving that here today. So thank you guys so much. And that is it for our event. Again, for those of you on the call that are organizations, we will be sharing our resource list with all of your contact information. If you need to, in the next 24 hours or 12 hours or so, next sometime early tomorrow, if you have any information you want to update with the board, please forward that information directly to the board. The website, or the email address rather, is info@cb14brooklyn.com. That's info@cb14brooklyn.com. But that is it for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, appreciate your time today, appreciate your energy, appreciate your effort, and I look forward to working with all of you as the board moves forward in its efforts to make sure our young people know how to access your resources.
Thank you again for everything. You guys have been amazing.
Yeah, we try.
See you guys later.
All right.
Dwayne, are you there?
Yeah, but hold that, Anne, because this is being recorded. So, Mark, I just gave you host rights.
Yep, I got that.
Okay. And probably best that we talk offline. So if you want to give me a call.
It's related.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So if we could put in the chat, if you think it's appropriate, many of the panelists were dedicated to their particular room, but they may benefit by a prompt if they should revisit to look at the other rooms, because they were there, they didn't broaden their horizon. You say they didn't dip into the other rooms because they were dedicated to speak of THEO or STEM or whatever their particular event they're linked to. So I would just want to add that.
Yes, I included a link for everyone to be able to jump into those rooms a little bit earlier, but before we leave, I can actually drop that link in.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Again.
And thanks, you did a wonderful job. Well done.
I also know there were some people who asked me how to get to other rooms to see what was going on. So I know there were people bouncing around.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your help with the connection earlier. I needed it, so I really appreciate it.
No worries.
All the best and
All right.
well done. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Good night.
Have a good night.